Hey folks, welcome back again. Chris Temple of the National Investor, and also working closely with my dear friends of many years, Rich and Eric Redez, to put together this upcoming Strategic Investment Insights Conference in Chicago, the 5th and 6th of May. It's one of the biggest conferences of its kind that we've had the pleasure of putting on in the Chicago area. We've got 16 different companies, different sectors coming to big panels. And as you've seen on some of the other preliminary information ahead of the show, talking about some really disruptive themes, some good, some a little scary, frankly, on the world and even our national stage, that we need to understand and act appropriately to as consumers, as citizens, and as investors. One of the things I love to point out is that if you go back to the worst time ever in history to buy stocks, that being September of 1929, had you bought the top of the market and ridden the market down to its bottom in April of 1932, you dropped by almost 90% as measured by the Dow Jones average, the biggest index, of course, in those days, especially. Yet 1 out of 3 publicly traded companies rose in price during that same period of time. And they did so because they were disruptors in their day. They did things better than their competitors. They brought something new and innovative that people needed and wanted, even in the midst of depression. And today, I think that one of the things that is little understood yet, because we're probably at the beginning of this, is that at the beginning of this cyclical bear market for the overall stock market, it's opening up opportunities to look at individual companies and individual stories again. Investors need to be investors. You don't just buy a bunch of passive ETFs and live happily ever after because the Fed's got your back. We're not going to have that for a little while, maybe for a number of years because of all the other trends going on. So you want to look for companies that meet society's needs, that have exciting technology and so forth. And one of those is a company I added actually fairly recently to my recommendations at the National Investor. That's BioLargo Incorporated. And their CEO, Dennis Calvert, joins us right now. Dennis, I'm looking forward to seeing you, buddy, in not too many days.
Yeah, Chris, thank you. And we're excited to be there. It sounds like it's going to be a great conference.
It will, and one of the ways in which I've already described BioLargo to my own members at the National Investor and others in conversation is that for those of you, especially out there, who are familiar with some of the business models of small resource exploration companies, there are some out there that are called project generators or prospect generators. They put together the kind of a team that they need and brain trust that they need to get their hand in a number of opportunities. They won't ever own all of them necessarily, but they look at all different kinds of opportunities out there. And then at the appropriate time, they bring in a partner, a joint venture partner, whatever. BioLargo is doing that in a number of areas, several things you're going to be learning about in much more detail at the conference when you come, but not in resource exploration, but in things like bioscience, environmental remediation, a lot of green type businesses, the types of things now that, as you all know, of course, are a hot button with investors and public policy people alike. So Dennis, give us a lap through your brain trust that you put together that has talent in these different areas, and then a lot of the main moving parts that you have at BioLargo.
Yeah, that's a great analogy too, Chris. I agree with you. So this is a company that's been about 10 years innovating, and then as we've achieved critical mass, we're now, quote, partnering our way to success, right? And so that's really critical. If you look at the business deals that are already in motion, under contract and growing, we've taken innovation and science and engineering talent, focus on all things sustainable, like clean water, clean air, a cleaner earth, right? So we're sustainable science and engineering, focused on solving some of the biggest problems that the planet faces, okay? Like PFAS, okay, PFAS, that's forever chemicals that are stuck in water and soil all over the world and now getting regulated out of existence, and just a massive industrial cleanup challenge for remediation. And we're in the sweet spot of bringing forth what we call the most excellent concentrator. The most excellent concentrator. Everybody says, well, you got to be in the destruction. I'm like, if you're in the destruction business, you're going to spend 10 years fighting with a regulator. I said, so here's what we think. Be the most excellent collector while you advance your science in destruction. And so we have the capability to do that. at the cornerstone of our business, we have a core group of engineers who were technical leaders at a 55,000 man firm before they came here. And so what the heck, right? I mean, that's the question. What the heck are they doing at BioLargo? Well, here they're owner operators saddled up with entrepreneurs who say, we can do this. And so they're taking their 30 years of talent and experience at a global highest mark level and putting them to work in an innovative way that most of those big engineering firms can't even touch. So we're winning accounts all over the world now, which is awesome. And then we've got a couple of other, we partnered with Garrett Callahan. They're the largest privately held water company in North America. And so this is a great story. They came to us and said, hey, we got an idea. If you make it, I'll sell it.
Yeah.
Okay, right? It's like that took 2 seconds to say yes. And so that's about to go to commercialization. We did this consumer product where we took our odor and VOC, an industrial product, we modified it into a consumer product, partnered up under a white label with a big brand company. And now they're building out a national brand. We're the supply chain partner. We get a little royalty on license on the technology, and we bargain for 20% of their exit. They want to sell for about $500 million. Okay, so this is a big deal. Yeah. So all of these are stacking up, reaching critical mass. And like you say, we advance the science, we surround it with great talent, and then we look for the spot to enter the market where we partner and leverage through a channel partnership. We also, just to give you an example, we announced in our last 10K, it was just a couple weeks ago, we have 2 channel partnership agreements in the cooker. They're not done for the PFAS, okay? Why is this important? Well, that's a $60 billion a year market. So just think, we have a technical innovation. I got a team with 30 years frontline remediation experience. I asked Randy, head of our engineering group, how many projects he'd worked on in his career. He said, you mean ever? I said, ever. Oh, 4,000?
Jeez.
Right. So we have the talent, we have the science to back it up, we've got the innovation. So what's missing? Well, distribution. Yeah. So you make your channel partner agreement so that you share and you go nationwide or worldwide with partners. I mean, that's what we're doing. And so it's just, yeah.
Let me interrupt you real quick, Dennis. Tell us again what PFAS means and the relevance. And before you do that, folks, one of the things that first jumped out at me, being from upstate New York, as I remember growing up in the Binghamton area, how back, I think it was the late 70s or early 80s, all of a sudden groundwater supplies everywhere were found to have been contaminated by different industrial chemicals by IBM. Farther to the north, Cortland was the home of Smith Corona once upon a time, a typewriter company. Yeah. And there again, a THC or whatever, one of those 3-letter bad things.
THM, yeah. Trihalomethanes.
Yes, it's in the water. And so you've got these corporations having to figure out how to take care of people now, which means truckloads and wagon loads of bottled water and purified water, and then figure out how to remediate this. And what caught my eye, of course, initially about BioLargo is that the process that you have, where you're now in some initial stages of trial or whatnot in Orange County, yeah. California.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it was to realize that you've got the state-of-the-art way to deal with this now.
Yeah, so yeah, and you have to prove that 1,000 times, but yes.
Sure.
So right, so let's go through the thesis because it's fascinating. So we have a number of innovative technologies bundled into a solution provider's mindset. Okay, so this is important because as a solution provider, when you enter into the challenge, you have your toolkit, but you can use everybody else's toolkit too. Now that's different, okay? And that's what the engineers do. So when we enter in, we say, look, just make sure it works and the customer gets the fix they need for the right price, okay? And that opens doors that otherwise would not be open. That's number one. Number two, PFAS is a big global problem. So these were fluorinated compounds, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, which is a category. It represents about 700 chemicals that all have a fluorine long chain carbon bond, fluorine molecule carbon bond, and they're made to be indestructible. So what the industry uses it for is nonstick coatings. Well, so it turns out that when you use a little bit of nonstick coating for 35 years and the chemistry won't let nature degrade it, it's designed to be resistant to the natural degradation. That's a problem. Yeah. And so sure enough, 30 years later, now they're detecting these in everything. They're literally in the polar ice cap. They're in mother's breast milk. They're in cosmetics. They're in food packaging. I mean, it's just incredible. And as it turns out, of course, with this long science, they've been linked to adverse health effects like birth defects and cancer. So now the sort of the gig is up. Okay, you can't hide. PFAS out there, somebody has to do something. And so industry's forced by regulation or by a public outcry to take action, especially in the drinking water space. Just imagine if you're a municipal and you find out PFAS is in your water and you're serving it to your constituents. That's not okay.
No.
So there's a scramble, and the scramble. So we started 2.5 years ago. We looked at this and said, hey, we're going to be a player, right? We're going to be a player in this space. We got the knowledge, the talent. What's the angle? And so our engineers with all that experience sat down and said, well, if it was me, here's what I'd do. I mean, really, it starts like that. But we have the resources to come in that bright idea and actually turn it into reality. So now we're in commercial trials with big industry, including major municipal water districts, a number of smaller districts, which is fine, right? There's a big need in the military base for firefighting foams, military bases and Air Force bases. We're working now, we've got a first commercial project we believe that's going to go forward in the mining industry. And that project is like a Superfund remediation cleanup. I mean, it's going to go for decades of work, okay? So we present ourselves to that marketplace with solve the problem well, don't get greedy, bring a technical innovation to bear, partner with the best, go long, right? It's just so basic, really, so basic. And when you treat it that way, these big companies gravitate to you. You're a good partner. And so that's a big part of our job is to be able to say to a big partner, we're a good partner for you. We're not that greedy. We're smart. We don't drop the ball. We're going to show up with a technical answer. We're not going to make all our money on the first deal, right? And so people gravitate to that sort of culture. And then when they find out that we actually are technical experts, subject matter specialists in the area, which we are, it's like a breath of fresh air. And so I'm excited, of course, because we're seeing all this hard work of developing talent and technology coming to bear in a commercial windfall. And so it's awesome.
Yeah. Folks, I'll tell you, you can tell from Dennis's excitement and mine that this is really a gem. A lot of people are still asleep on this company. It's really not gotten its word out that much yet, but inevitably as they continue to commercialize their work,
we're breaking records every quarter. I mean, I hate to say it because I know somebody's gonna hold me to it every quarter, but trending for sure. Once in a while we have a little blip, but if you look at the trend, it's climbing. And of course the numbers are getting more serious now as we get some critical mass.
Yeah.
I think the culture is what makes it work. I mean, because when I sit on these calls, let me give you one more story, because this is how the company grows. You ready? I get a call from an engineer. He says, hey, Dennis, I saw your press release on this below non-detect. Non-detect is a science word that says you tested it to the level at which science can't detect it anymore. Okay, so that's essentially all gone, right? The scientists would never say that. You never say it's all gone. 99.999, right? Okay, so non-detect. So an engineer calls me, he says, I saw that, congratulations, that's pretty remarkable. I said, it is, and we're gearing up for the market, ready to go to market. He says, okay, you ready? Magic words. I have a client that needs your solution. I'm telling you, this is how it goes, okay? So what happens is an extraordinarily technical person interviews us to peel the onion on science and engineering to make a decision, and then they recommend you to the client. That's how the business grows. So people say, well, how do you get the client? I say, we talk to their engineers because they sell us in because they want their client to have the best solution. So it's really, that's what's happening. It's really cool.
That's neat. Well, folks, again, if you've not done it already, make sure you register for the conference. Here's the information again on the screen. Go to the website, see all of the stuff that's awaiting you, including Dennis when he tells you a lot more about BioLargo when we're all in Chicago. If you can't make it in person, make sure you at least register virtually so you'll know who's there and what's what, and get the panel discussions and things like that. It's an exciting time. It's a treacherous time in a way in the markets, no question about it. But we're going to make lemonade out of those lemons and with great stories like this. So, Dennis, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be great to see you.
Yeah, it's awesome. And thanks for having me. We'll have a good time. Awesome.